Hi guys, this is Carrie with the Welty Environmental Center, and I'm out here in Big Hill Park today with my handy little trowel because today we're going to be talking about soil texture. Soil texture is one of the ways that we classify different types of soils based on their physical characteristics. We can figure out what texture a soil has by determining how much sand, silt, and clay particles are present in the soil. Sand particles are the largest particles we find in soil. Silt particles are the medium ones, and clay are the very, very small ones. In this video, we're going to discover the different types of soil textures using a tool called the soil texture triangle. Then we're going to collect our own soil sample from Big Hill Park and use the soil texture triangle in an activity to find out what type of soil texture we have in Big Hill Park. You can then use this activity to find out what type of soil texture you have in your own backyard. Let's get started. This is the soil texture triangle. It's the tool that you'll use to figure out what type of soil texture you have. The way it works is you find the percentages of large sand particles, medium silt particles, and small clay particles in your soil. Then you follow the lines to see where the percentages intersect. Whatever zone on the triangle that your percentages intersect in is the type of soil texture that you have. Figuring out your soil texture is particularly important in professions such as farming, for example. This is because water drains a lot easier through the large sand particles than it does through the very small clay particles. A farmer doesn't want too much sand in their soil because if there's too much sand, the water will drain too easily through it and not enough water will be held in the soil for the plants to drink. A farmer doesn't want too much clay in their soil because if there's too much clay, water might have a hard time draining through and the crops might drown. For this reason, the soil texture class of loam is the best for farming because it has the perfect ratio of water drainage to water retention. Now that we better understand the soil texture triangle and soil texture classes, let's get into our activity where we'll use the glass jar method to find the soil texture in Big Hill Park. For this activity, you're going to need a trowel to collect your soil sample with, a mason jar to store your soil sample in, and then a ruler to later measure the amount of soil that you have. If you have a ruler that measures in centimeters instead of inches, that'll make your job a little bit easier for this activity. So now I'm just going to collect my soil. I went ahead and went into the woods in Big Hill Park because the other soil around the environmental center is pretty sandy, so I wanted something that would be a better mixture. So I've got my mason jar and a trowel, and I'm just gonna go ahead and fill my mason jar about a third to halfway full of soil. Something like that could be good. Okay, now I have brought my soil back inside and I'm gonna add water to it now. So just take regular old tap water and fill up the rest of the jar. Cool. Pop that lid back on. Make sure it's real tight. All right, now I'm just gonna give this a shake. And we're gonna let that sit for a few hours for all of the sediment to settle, and we're gonna check back in on it. All right, so we let our soil settle. I let it settle overnight just because I had the time. And it looks like we've actually got some pretty clear layers of sand, silt, and clay that have formed. So it can be a little bit tough to see, but from about here to here, we have our clay. From about here to here, we have our silt. And then from here all the way down to the bottom, we have our sand. So if you look closely, you can kind of see some lines that have formed in there. And I'm looking at it with my ruler. We've got about 5 centimeters total, and about 1 centimeter of clay, 1 centimeter of silt, and 3 centimeters of sand. So that's our Big Hill Park soil. So as we're breaking this down, we've got 5 centimeters of total soil cover with 1 centimeter of clay, 1 centimeter of silt, and 3 centimeters of sand. So converting that to percentages, we've got 100 for our percentage points divided by 5, our total cover, and that equals 20. So 1 centimeter equals 20%, roughly. Then that means we have 20% clay, 20% silt, and 60% sand in our Big Hill Park soil. So now if we look at the breakdown of our own Big Hill Park soil on the soil texture triangle, you can find where all of these percentages converge. So it looks like finally we are right on the cusp of sandy clay loam and sandy loam, leaning closer to the loam side, which if you think about it makes a lot of sense because Big Hill Park is surrounded by farmland and loam is the best soil for farming. So there you have it, soil texture at work. Thank you guys so much for discovering soil textures with me today. I hope you have a really fun time doing the activity for yourself, and I'll see you next time.